So usually for Halloween, I do a ton of stuff. And if you are new around here, you have missed out on Hot Girl Bodysuit Halloween last year. I also know that October is the month where it gets cold. So I thought we could do a fun giveaway of my sweatshirts. And if you stick around at the end, it will show you how you're supposed to enter. And I will be picking a couple winners, maybe 2 or 3, and you guys will be getting some free sweatshirts from my brand. And this year, I really thought I wasn't gonna have any time to do anything Halloween, and I was right. I had no time to do anything that I wanted for Halloween and have big Halloween plans and whole bunch of costumes. Between my sister getting married and my best friend having a wedding and my house almost burning down, I had no time for Halloween. But what I did have time for is my niece's Halloween outfit. If you're new around here, you don't know that I do my niece's a Halloween costume every year. So last year she was Wednesday, and the year before she was Cruella. And of course, I knew I had to do this year's Halloween costume as well. So yeah, that is what we are doing today. We are making my niece's Halloween costume, and I hope you guys love it. Before I can start, we have to give you some backstory on this. She actually asked this year to be the Queen of Hearts from the new Descendants movie, and I thought that was a great idea, but her mother did not. And I don't blame her because she has to go to school in this outfit. It's not like it's a weekend fit. So we had to really think of something else. She told me that her best friends were all going as cheerleaders, and I know that she's obsessed with the movie Zombies and all of the movies. And she's been begging for this particular cheerleading outfit for a while. And so I thought, this is perfect. We'll just make this for her and be on our way and have a good time, and that would be it.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
The first thing I did was go to the fabric store. Now, this is my local dead stock store. They only carry fabrics that they've bought out from other fabric stores closing. And I really love that because it's 1, sustainable, and 2, you get to find finds that you've never found before. So I quickly headed into the spandex section. They don't really have a huge selection of solid colored spandex, but what they did have, I was able to find what I was looking for. This material is kind of heavy because every year, without fail, where we live, it snows. So I had to definitely take that into account when making her costume. The first thing I did was cut the circle skirt out. What I did was I found her waist measurement and the length and then put it in this handy dandy calculator that Mood has for it. I was able to find my little dimensions for the waist this way, and I cut out my circle skirt first. What I didn't know until I got home was that this fabric was actually a 4-way, but mostly 2-way stretch. So the one direction had no give. And unfortunately, that's the direction I cut my waistband on. After I did the skirt, the next step was to do the top. Now, she is a Hambly and she is long-waisted like the entirety of this family. So I knew that a conventional pattern wasn't gonna work for her. So that means I had to use a piece of her own clothing to make her top. To make your own patterns out of your own fitting clothes, I basically took one of her nightgowns, and I folded it up so that it was the length that I know fits her. And then I folded that in half. And that became my pattern piece that I would put on the fold. The biggest trick is folding in the sleeves so that you get a nice sleeve hole. And basically what I did is I just kind of folded the fabric up underneath itself. It's really helpful if you can pin it. I then traced around the neck, the top of the sleeve, the top of the arm, the sleeve, and down the side. And this is where you have to remember to add your seam allowance, because if you were to just cut straight from here, you would be you'd be making clothing about an inch smaller all the way around. I cut it out and I just copied the front to the back. The next trick I did was I made the sleeves doing another technique that I had learned on Instagram, which is a box sleeve. And this only really works for boxier fit clothing or stretchy clothing. Basically, you take your sleeve and you mark out the length from the top of the sleeve to the bottom. So in this case, it was 7 inches from the top shoulder to the inner sleeve. And I just went straight out from there, 15 inches, which is about the length of a child's arm. And this is all done on the fold. So that way, when you open it up, you have kind of this box shape, and that becomes where you attach it to the armhole. Is it perfect? No. Does it get the job done? Yes. The last portion of the cutting was the little white portion on the costume, which I just hacked straight off the sleeve I had cut, laid it out, and we were good to go. So we have all of our pieces. We have everything we need. It is time to sew. We're using a serger, which is basically, I don't want to call it a fancy version of a sewing machine because the machine is entirely different.
The mechanics of it are pretty simple. You have an upper looper and a lower looper,
and they go back and forth, and then a needle comes down with the thread and it catches everything and creates that overlap as you see on
A lot of your mass-produced or manufactured clothing. So I threaded the machine, and after it took me a second to figure out how to thread it, and I started by overlocking all of the edges around the bottom because that will be what I use for the hem, and that's going to be like my guideline for the hem. Then I sewed everything together. I learned this one from YouTube where you just sew together the top shoulder piece, and then you sew in the sleeve into the armhole, and then you sew down the sleeve all the way down the side. That is life-changing. That's the method I use. So now we've got our top together, overlocked, our sleeves on. You're gonna see on the skirt right about now where my waistband doesn't fit the top of my skirt. So I clipped it out, cut a new waistband, sewed it on, and that was the skirt. So when it comes to the Cricut machine, I will be the first to admit I am not the most handy with it, but I do know enough to make it work. Ages ago, I lost my cord that connects my Cricut to my computer, but I do have the app on my phone, which
changed my life.
when I figured out I could do that because I'm way handier on my phone than I am on a computer to begin with. So we are using the Sport Flex. Yes, the Cricut Sport Flex material, and it's supposed to be super stretchy. And since it was going on spandex, that was perfect. For the portions on the arms and the skirt, I cut those by hand. That was kind of a mistake. I should have cut those from a machine. I'm not the world's greatest heat press human being, so you'll see that a lot with things. They kind of wrinkled when I was pulling up, but it was fine because it's a kid's costume. I had to keep telling myself it didn't have to be perfect because it was for a
child to wear to school.
The last step was to add the rhinestone crisscross thing that goes on it and the piece that goes on the skirt. Again, using the Hot Fix rhinestone trim, peeling off the
Back, sticking it down.
melting it into place. Then it was time to do
500,000 rhinestones.
Literally, I did so many rhinestones, my mind lost count. This is the final look of what I did, and I know my niece is going to be obsessed with it. I know for a fact she's going to love it. It's going to be the best outfit at school. She's going to look the cutest. She's going to be most excited. If you have made it this far for the sweatshirt giveaway, all you have to do is tell me what you are going for as Halloween in the comments and fill out the form in the description box, and I will be emailing the winners shortly, probably before November 15th. So in the next couple weeks. I hope you love my one Halloween video I'm gonna have this year. I'm a little bit bummed that I'm not gonna have any more that I know of. So thank you for being here. I hope to see you next week when we do our next video. And until next time, make sure you're subscribed and enjoying these videos.